to put it. So yeah, let us know why you dislike stuff. How are you, Michael? How's your week been?
Hold on, I just gotta tell. You asked him to let us know why he dislikes stuff.
Yeah,
that's a little bit vague.
Well, say
it's like I don't like sand.
It's
coarse.
It gets everywhere. So that was probably 3 weeks.
Does that count?
Yeah, that does. Yeah, that was. Okay. We broke our 3-week Star Wars hiatus. Star Wars hiatus. But how you been? How's your week been?
It's been fine.
Yeah,
lots of Mass Effect.
I know you've been doing lots of Mass Effect on Twitch.
It's not doing well.
It's because everybody's.
It's like everybody who watches me and supports me on Twitch is just like, go play more silly games so we can play Titanic Flute, and then that's it.
So who are you talking about? Give a shout out to some of your Twitch fans. I'm down with that. They joined us last week.
Too many to remember. Sorry, I'm that big now. I'm hot shit.
But that's only because he's got a poor memory.
And I'm only doing that as well because I'm wondering whether or not they actually watch this YouTube channel. Because if they do, they'll call me out.
Yeah. Well, we know that last week a couple of them joined us for the show.
No, I know Shane showed up. He's a real life friend, though.
Yeah, I think Jeanette did as well at some point. So, I know you've gone through a mourning period over the last few days, as the Edmonton Oilers were swept in 4 in the playoffs. And you were
the most unimpressive sweeping of a hockey team ever in the history of hockey, though. It's not like it was a jolly sweep. It was like a dust is heavy sweep. Yeah. So,
do you want to just tilt your camera up? Your red's chopped off.
My red's chopped off.
Your red's chopped off.
I'm fine. I'll just
scooch. I know I was disappointed, especially considering how well
in the Oilers.
Yeah, but I got over it a lot quicker than you did.
No, I was over it instantly because of that final game, because of how well they played. I was really proud of them. I actually was fine the night of. I was more depressed of the
following day.
The previous game.
Oh, the
when we were 4-1 up and ended up losing
3 minutes
5-4 in overtime.
Yeah, that was not good. So all right, let's get on to our first topic then. Have you seen the new Rick and Morty trailer?
You know I have. Yes.
And what did you think of it?
I thought it was good.
Well, tell me why.
Because it's Rick and Morty, and Rick and Morty gives me all the ha-has and the funnies, and that's pretty much what the trailer...
Well, what was it you said earlier?
The funniest bit in the trailer was the one really split, lightning fast clip of Morty like getting chucked out of a limousine, and he's wearing a tuxedo.
Do you think
I don't know why, of all the crazy, absurd shit that's in that trailer, that's what made me laugh the most. But you see, that's when I find Rick and Morty is at its funniest now that it's established what it is. The absurd humor is a guarantee. It's always going to be there. We know that Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland have zero limit on the heights they can go to making really fucked up shit. I mean, at least I thought so until Slut Dragons came along. So they're obviously Cthulhu, Lovecraft, H.P. Lovecraft fans. They obviously love all that sort of cosmic horror shit. They must have loved movies like Alien,
Cronenberg,
all sorts of body horror, everything. All the absurd, weird, macabre shit that those guys can come up with. We know they're going to come up with it. Their brains are like bottomless. Their brains are like bottomless pits. They're like Cthulhu's eyes. So I was like, cool, great, fine. Just seeing Morty getting thrown out of a fucking moving limousine in a tuxedo just made me chuckle. I don't know why. It's probably because that gives me more possibilities in my theory crafting part of my brain as to what could be happening there. It's going to be that one episode where Morty has his little fucking hissy fit with Rick because Rick never gives him any responsibility, doesn't respect him, and Morty's going to go out on his own and try to do something, and in the end, and probably that one scene at the end of the trailer when he's like, sorry, I didn't know, and he's like, okay, well, I'm going to have to Deus Ex Machina our way out of this. That's probably the same episode if I know my Rick and Morty. But yeah, just a tiny little clip from that trailer was more interesting than the rest of it.
So I want a big shout out to Kashal says, sorry he couldn't attend the last few streams. He's in the process of shifting to Canada for future studies. So he's coming to join us on this beautiful frozen tundra.
Except it's 25 degrees outside and
lovely. I'm sat here boiling. We need some air conditioning here under lights. And I bet you're probably going to Toronto, so
No, he turns around and is like, "You're right. I'm going to the Tundra. I'm going to Yellowknife." There is a university in Yellowknife, right?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
So, one thing about Rick and Morty that...
He also said evil Morty hype.
Yeah, I think evil Morty's behind it all. He's behind it all.
Behind it all.
Behind it all. He's behind it all.
I don't know, because I'm drawing a blank on the last few episodes of Season 4 now. I don't think I completed Season 4. I might have to go do that leading up to Season 5.
Well, Season 5 starts on June 20th, so we definitely have to do a rewatch of that and do a weekly chat.
We're going to have to do a weekly show about it.
Yeah.
We might have to condense. We might have to do
Well,
we might have to do 2-hour streams where we do the first hour is Loki and the second hour is Rick and Morty.
What day is the 20th? Let's see what day it comes
It's
out.
the 20th.
No, what day? He's going to Vancouver. Vancouver's awesome, and you probably picked the
it's
nicest...
never cold there. It's lovely.
And you get to go over to the island to Victoria, which is one of mine and Michael's favourite places. Probably Michael's favourite place in Canada.
Where's my calendar? There it is.
So, at the end of Season 4, I couldn't...
It's a Sunday.
It's a Sunday, so we'll have Wednesday. So we could do 2 shows. 2. I didn't think they could do anything that was fresh and funny. And then just...
You don't know Rick and Morty then.
That's what I'm saying. From watching this trailer, it is bizarre how they can just pull out stuff that's so out there. It's like so bizarre that it's funny, it's fresh.
Well, the wonder of that style of comedy is in the fact that you take no filter at all with you into the writing room. It's South Park do it as well. Trey Parker and Matt Stone are very similar to Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon in many respects, because they're always like, let's see how far we can push this, because at the end of the day, right? I know there's a lot of offense culture, cancel culture, all that stuff going on right now, and yes, there is a difference between being intentionally horrible. But we know that Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland are not being intentionally horrible. We know that their intention is to make us laugh. Mm-hmm. So knowing that, you shouldn't be able to really find much offense in the things they say, unless they start to get too preachy, which is where South Park really take the cake on that one. I don't think the Rick and Morty has gotten preachy. It tends to stay on this side of the preach wall.
I don't think the medium that
close.
the way they tell their stories, I don't think it suits going into the preachy side.
Anyways, but so what I was saying about how the whole offense culture thing and whatnot. So they basically come from a point of, we want to make people laugh, and we know that the butt of the joke has to exist in order for a joke to exist, which is why I find it weird. And I'm trying to say, I'm not trying to be insensitive. I do understand the difference between harassment and just being horrible and intentionally nasty, and the difference between that and telling a really finely crafted joke. But at the end of the day, there's always a butt of the joke. There's always someone being laughed at. There's always something being laughed at. That's what a joke is, right? Like Englishmen, Irishmen, Scottishmen. They're basically making fun of Irishmen and Scottishmen. It's how humor works. So Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon have reached a point where they know that they can their filter is so fine that they essentially just they stay away from politics as much as possible. Because that seems to be the biggest touchy-feely thing right now in the world. You can't joke too much about politics. You even
Which is stupid, because some of the best jokes are fucking political.
You even so much as make a joke about like Trump's orange skin, and you're gonna get a whole bunch of people on you, and you're just like, hey, look, I'm a Trump fan. I'm just making fun of the fact he's got orange skin. It doesn't matter, right? A joke is a fucking joke, but politics is a really touchy one, and I think Rick and Morty stays away from that pretty well. And if they do have any sort of political statements, it's very, very subdued. I think going back to last season, the episode with the crystal. Doesn't really brush on politics, but it brushes on a lot of ideological problems. And because, realistically, what he's doing is he's becoming this horrible, ruthless, fascist dictator, but who wants to absorb and assimilate everything. But it's all because he wants to get laid. So there's the joke, right? It makes all of the things that they're making fun of about leading up to that point irrelevant, because that's... Yeah. I might be rambling here, but I feel like I'm making sense. It's hard to make sense of Rick and Morty's comedy.
Well, the funny thing is, what you touched on there is the saying, the butt of the joke, is basically why jokes are funny. That you've got to have that punchline about somebody. Like, it's very hard to come up with a joke that isn't at the expense of someone else. But what people are doing these days is they're taking jokes too literally. And they're not taking it as a funny throwaway line. Because we're in that cancel culture, as you say, of, my feelings got hurt. I was offended.
It's hypersensitivity.
It's super hyper-offended.
Because it's really difficult these days, especially with the fact that most of our communications go online.
And unfiltered.
But it's not even a matter of filtering at this point. To me, the main problem is that there's no context to something you read. That's why I love memes. Memes are the best way. If you want to respond to someone, right, with something that you want to make sure it's taken as funny, and you want to make sure that
and not just put LOL on the end.
Well, yeah, you want to make sure that they're going to laugh at what you're saying to them rather than like get offended by what you're saying to them. Post a meme. Figure out what meme essentially like humanizes the response you want, because if you type out something, it's going to be read literally because it's read, it's written. It's not there's no context to it.
So here's a perfect example of a meme that I saw, and everybody knows the meme. It's the guy of him looking at a woman walking by and his girlfriend's offended. And like when you say, if you write something down, certain fan bases can get triggered by it by taking it out of context.
Fan bases?
Yeah. So I'm saying if you, here's a perfect example. You could type something down in a text and send it out about Star Trek Discovery. Some people will like it, and then the people...
So just certain types of people, not fan bases.
But they'll take it out of context because it's the written word. But the meme was, Discovery was the girlfriend, Voyager was the boyfriend, and it was the chick from the Orville walking away. And that now is funny. It's not offensive. It can't be taken out of context.
What I do have to say to that, though, is that's a bad meme.
Why?
It's just not clever. It's not funny. If you're going to take like a meme that's existed for years now and you want to add something interesting,
to steal it, yeah.
So like what's funny would be that meme where you basically got the Edmonton Oilers as the girl, you got Edmonton Oilers fans as the guy, and then the Montreal Canadiens is the girl walking away. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's clever.
But
the whole Orville thing, I don't think is funny, because that, to me, I know where that's coming from. That's coming from it's coming from the people who hate Star Trek and have nothing better to say than Orville's the new Star Trek. Orville's more Star Trek than that, because to them they're stuck in the past. And it's ridiculous, really, because everybody always says, "Oh, it's just like Star Trek TNG." I'm like, not really. It's an homage to Star Trek TNG, but like it can't be Star Trek TNG because there's no Picard. There's a fucking. What's his name? Seth MacFarlane's captain character. What's he called?
Mercer.
He's not fucking Picard.
No.
He's not even close to being Picard.
The Orville's
There's
weird.
no dick and fat jokes in Star
that's
Trek.
what I'm saying. The Orville's weird.
How did we get onto Star Trek?
I don't know. But I'll just finish this thing and then I'll bring up the point that Kashal brought up. The Orville's weird because it's a good show. And it is a kind of homage to Star Trek. But the script writing with, like you say, the dick and fart jokes, just to me just doesn't seem to sit right in that kind of sci-fi show without going full-blown comedy. Because it does try and cover some, like Star Trek.
But as you find out, as a fan of the Orville, you find out that the meat of the show isn't the humor. And so they start taking humor out of it, and the Orville's crap when it's trying to be funny.
Yeah.
And so now, coming back to the topic at hand here, like, the reason Rick and Morty continues to be so fresh is because they have this very, very teeny pinprick of a filter on what they discuss and what they're willing to poke fun at.
Yeah. Kashal said in the case of South Park, does it pretty well, but he thinks Rick and Morty, I'm guessing he means is way better, yeah.
I think Rick and Morty's funnier.
Rick and Morty's definitely...
But for the reasons we were discussing, South Park became far too pretentious. And I still love it, don't get me wrong. Integrity Farms is like one of the best subplots in South Park history, and it's been going for like 3 seasons now. But
Charles almost becoming super duper fan because he watched Lower Decks and he liked it.
Oh yeah,
Lower
Decks is great.
Lower Decks is how a Star Trek comedy should be done.
Yeah,
there's no dick and fart jokes. They take the character of Riker and basically turn him into a caricature. It's
very Rick and Morty like.
Yeah, it's a caricature of Star Trek.
Caricature
of Star Trek, which is funny.
I'm sorry.
Basically,
No, but do you know what my favorite bit in first season Lower Decks is?
Go on.
So the episode where they're on trial.
And the first officer's buff and he's fighting everybody?
Well, no. Where they're on trial, and it's like a Klingon chamber. Like,
oh, yeah, yes. I know
the guy's voiced by Red from that 70s show, who's also in lots of Star Trek. What's his name? This president is not above the law. That guy.
That's why you got your phone.
Anyways, he voices the guy, and it's like told in this whole from this point of view where they're being held on trial for like fucking up, and as a result, the bridge crew are going to get punished for it, and so they have to give their stories to explain what happened. And it turns out that over the whole course of the stories that they were actually helping this guy, and they're not on trial. This was supposed to be his birthday party, and the funniest bit in that is when Tindy's telling her story of how she got caught up. Ransom basically takes her on an away mission, thinking that she's a cleaner, like an assassin, and she showed up for duty thinking she's just a cleaner, like she just has to clean the room down. And there's the bit after where they're trying to infiltrate Romulan space, which is where this guy is, where they got to free him, and they're riding along and they're flying along cloaked inside their Romulan bird of prey, and she's trying to explain to them that she's not supposed to be here. And every time she gets to explaining to them what she's not supposed to be here, the Andorian guy goes, just wait, they're scanning the area. And then she's like, it's like, okay, sorry, what were you saying, Rookie? And she's like, okay, well, I was trying to tell you guys. It's like, they're scanning again, and it keeps happening until there's all these warbirds showing up. That to me is like the greatest example of humor, because it understands the neuroses about Star Trek, like the whole like cliche of shh, we got the scanning.
Yeah, like they can hear you.
We're picking up scans. How the hell do you pick up scans? Like. So it does a really good job of making fun of itself without it becoming too self-referential. They get really close in the finale when he's like, "Oh yeah, I really like the TOS era." She's like, "What do you mean TOS era?" And he's like, "You know those old scientists." Like that right there.
That was getting close.
That's borderline like ridiculous.
That was a wink at the camera.
Well, no, they're all winks.
That was like a
no. They're all winks. But the point I'm trying to make is that again comes back to what like a clever meme. They're memeing themselves in Lower Decks, and when the less like explaining you have to do to make the joke fit in the world, the better the joke is. Like I say,
if you have to explain a joke, it's not funny.
Bingo. And that's why I think Rick and Morty is so beloved and so funny to a lot of people, because there's a huge crowd of people who understand and just get it. Because there's also a lot of people who don't. And I get people who say, "Oh man, I don't find Rick and Morty funny." And I'm like, "What? How can you not find Rick and Morty funny?"
But there's two subsects though. Subsects. There's those that get it and find it funny, and those that don't need to get it but still find it funny.
Yeah, and you had a lot of people who were like that for South Park back in the day as well, and Futurama.
So Kashal reckons we should watch, where is it? The Amazon series Invincible, and do a separate stream series on what we think of that. Now, if I remember rightly, the Invincible is basically like, it's superheroes, but it's like manga violent superheroes. I don't know much about it. I just remember seeing a scene from it where...
I'll look it up.
It's what's the J. Jonah Jameson's actor's name?
J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah. What's his name?
Oh, you did it to me. It was on the tip of my tongue, and now I'm suffering from the same thing you're suffering from.
Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah.
Well, he voices one of the actors, one of the characters, and from what I remember seeing from the clips I've seen of it, it's pretty violent. So, yes, I think we should put that on the radar. But obviously, with Loki coming out and then Rick and Morty in June.
Okay. So you're gonna kill yourself. So it's a J name.
It's
J.K.
Simmons.
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
Yeah. Around J.K. Rowling. What?
Right. So I think we should put that in the docket to watch and react to.
I'll definitely go check it out.
And talking of reactions, just as we move on to the next one, we just dropped our latest video where we do trailer reactions. But trailer reactions TRS media style. We're picking trailers from the past.
Retro.
Retro, yeah. And we are taking
We're basically going back and seeing if the trailer is exactly as we remember it, seeing if it jogs up any sort of memories we had of the movie at the time and what we expected and whether we were disappointed by it, and also the difference between the way trailers were made and the trailers are made today.
And if the trailer would make us go watch it.
I noticed something, because I'm not sure if I coined this, but the era of the trailer between the 80s and the 2000s.
He said Roland Emmerich was a director from the era of the trailer.
And what I mean by that is there's a time where the trailers to movies were like this little treat that we weren't expecting.
We didn't have them like we got this week. We got Rick and Morty, we got the Eternals. We didn't just...
Getting trailers now is so ridiculous. Like, there's reactions to trailers, and there's reactions to the reactions to trailers.
And then there's reactions to the reactions to the reactions of the people reacting to trailers.
There's just nothing interesting or awesome about trailers anymore. Like, and this is probably a good segue, because I think we've done enough on the Rick and Morty thing, because I was worried when you said we were going to discuss it. There's not much we can really discuss. To me, it's like, good. They're showing us that they can continue to make absurd, ridiculous humor, and that's what we expect from Rick and Morty. But this is a great segue, because it moves us now on to...
the trailer. As I was saying, check out our latest video and drop a comment of trailers you think we should react to. And it leads me over to, do you want to talk about Loki first or the Eternals?
I think this is why it's cool that we don't follow our production notes, because we go where we want to go with this, honestly. We've done this before. I think it's probably a good time to now talk about the Eternals, naturally, considering what we just discussed.
We will talk about the Eternals trailer, because that is what spawned our retro trailer reaction series, because we tried to do a reaction trailer.
This is the meat to our trailer sandwich.
Yeah, we tried to do a reaction to the trailer. But one thing me and Michael both hate is we know most reaction channels watch the trailer 3 or 4 times, make notes, figure out how they're going to react to it, then film themselves reacting. And none of that shit is genuine. And we're 2 genuine guys. So we said, right, we'll just hit record, and we did it. And it just turned out to
allow me to explain in my words. So explain in my words, because it's pretty much the same thing. You got it right, but to simplify, reaction media in general is a little bit touchy, because some people can do it well, and I think the ones who do it well are the ones who really know how to make it about them. They know how to make it. They're like, hey, look, I'm reacting to this. You're watching me react to this. Natalie Gold is a good example of that. I know that her fiance helps her edit it, and so but that's cool. It's a little, they're a duo. We're a duo, right? They help each other out. But a lot of reaction videos I find are just like, oh, that's awesome, huh? Oh wow,
damn, look at that! Oh.
And it's like, what are you even adding to this?
No. And we said this last night when we were chatting. We watched one reaction to the Eternals trailer, and one guy literally sat there for the entire thing going, and you could see his eyebrows and his reactions were coming before what he was reacting to, because he'd already watched it. And I was just like... And then you got the far end of the spectrum, where they go completely over the top, and you see people jumping off couches and stuff for trailers, and that's just false as shit. But that's what bore fruit to our retro trailer reaction.
Well, because we tried to do the Eternals trailer, and we realised it's like, this is just us watching it. It's a video of us watching a trailer.
2 bald guys sat watching a trailer.
We didn't react at all to it.
The king of reaction. So
I came up with the idea of reacting to something older, because it's counterculture for me. It's fun because it's doing the opposite of what everybody wants, and I love fucking throwing sticks in the spokes. And then on top of that, like, we really did have a lot to say about it.
So we did Independence Day. Check it out. And if you want...
We had nothing to say about the Eternals.
No,
we were like...
Well, actually...
Hey, what did you think of the joke at the end? Oh, you mean about how I'm going to be the leader of the Avengers? Yes. How did you laugh at that? I laughed like this. Ha, 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 ha. That's funny.
All right. Well,
that's pretty much all we were able to conjure, because we don't know anything about it.
Well, let's talk about that trailer now then, because we've watched it again. We've had time to marinate on it. We, just as a disclaimer, neither of us know anything about the Eternals, any of the backstory, or anything about the IP.
Other than that they're eternal.
Who calls them that? Maybe maybe they're called the Smiths. Because I get from the trailer a very family sense of the group of people that trying to remember.
It's all about family.
It's all about family. Yeah. Well, half of them are fucking Starks. So we watched the trailer. Again, Marvel production quality. It's good. Hence the reason why I don't really need a trailer for the Eternals. Because guess what, Marvel? I'm gonna go watch your movie.
Well, I actually wonder as well. So again, going back to the era of the trailer, the art of the trailer, I find that the trailers back in those days were, back in the 90s, were actually still outsourced to a third-party trailer maker, right? Because they need someone who's professional who can do that. However, I would imagine the studios and the executives and even the directors, producers, everyone involved will still see that trailer and be like, "Yes, this is good."
Mm-hmm.
I get the impression I see a Marvel trailer. I'm like, I bet Feige looked at that and was like, yeah, it's fine.
Churn it out.
Like, the directors...
Stamp it, ship it.
The directors themselves might see it because they're directors, so they'll be, like, insistent. I need to see this trailer, make sure it's correct.
Kashal says the last time Rob Stark led someone, we all know what happened.
Yeah.
So the trailer starts with some, what is it, the End of the Road song? Nice.
I don't know what song
it looks like it's like Neanderthal man or something,
and a monolith shows up.
A gigantic spaceship shows up, which is
the spaceship from Arrival, the Independence Day aliens.
Like just zooming in. It had a cloaking device.
Yeah.
So they're obviously aliens.
They're just writing a big letter.
Aliens.
If you actually see it from
it's a V.
It's a big E.
It's a flying E. Again, for trailer quality, the effects look great. It looked like they'd had finished effects to it.
There's another thing, though, as well, to compare between old trailers and new trailers. Because they were all practical effects that they could only really do once because they're blowing up their miniatures and stuff. We know that in those trailers, that's the effects. That's what we're going to see, and we're impressed by that. Now, you'd be lucky if you got a trailer with complete special effects. And even people even say it. It's like, oh, yeah, we know the special effects will be better than
Finish it in post.
Well, yeah, the effects for the trailer are not even close to what they're going to be in the end result these days. That you couldn't get away with that back then because it was all practical.
Well, we get a good old Rob Stark there, Richard Madden, and it looks like they're looking out the window.
No relation to the NFL color commentator,
John Madden, or the guy that makes shoes, Steve Madden. We get the voiceover that they've basically been watching humans and guiding us, and they haven't felt like they had to intervene until now. Well, I could tell you from all the human population and half the population of the universe, you should have intervened 5 fucking years ago. That's what don't make sense to me. If you're these all-powerful...
Who's to say that some of them didn't get the snap, though?
Maybe they did.
Did Asgardians get snapped?
There weren't many Asgardians left.
No, but there's still 50% of them.
Ones...
Even if there's only 3 Asgardians left, the 1.5 of those Asgardians exist.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
Wait, what happens if you've got a population that's not an odd? That's an odd number. Would like only half their body of someone like dissolve?
Yeah, so
I never thought about that.
Like if your population's 7, 3.5 people get snapped.
Honestly,
I'd rather get fully snapped than half snapped.
Honestly, how like the more you think about the Gauntlet and the Infinity Stones, the more you realize like none of it makes sense. And that honestly, Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3 of Marvel were all about establishing this universe as far as we can take it and seeing just how open to welcoming in absurdity the fan base really is, because this new Phase 4 it's just going to be going off the rails.
Well, it's strange. So Phase 4 we know was delayed because of COVID. I think Black Widow was the first one to be released, and then it was supposed to be Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then WandaVision wasn't supposed to be until 2021, which is when we got it. But we actually ended up getting WandaVision as the first release of Phase 4. So there's so many things on the docket. The Eternals is coming November.
But the point I was making, there's so many things on the docket that are like out there. Like I'm not, and again, Thor and Odin and Asgard and
it's still out there.
That's all out there, but that was like the very bare minimum of outlandish shit that was in the original lineup of Marvel films. The biggest, not the biggest, but the greatest asset of the Marvel Cinematic Universe to me was how well they bridged a real lived-in world with the absurdity of
superheroes,
of spandex wearing superheroes. They did it so well. And if you think about the X-Men series, didn't really do it that well. They chose to stay firmly on the side of this is supposed to be gritty and realistic. Right, and it didn't work really. It worked for a couple of movies, and then just the more it started to falter and fail, the more they realized, no, we've got to stop dragging this into the absurd realm of
into
comic
the
book.
Superman spandex.
It happens quite frequently. I think the Dark Knight series is a great example of how you can do it like 100% grounded in reality, and it still works.
But sticks to 3 movies. That's why Nolan didn't want to do any more and he didn't want to help build a DC universe because
and it's why the Man of Steel was so poor because realistically it's not a poor movie. It's not a bad movie.
No, it's not. I like Man of Steel.
It's a bad Superman movie.
Well,
because you can't make Superman realistic and gritty and grounded in reality. You just can't. The closest they get to pushing that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as we were just saying, is Thor. Whereas everything else, Iron Man, sure, there's a bunch of like silly like technobabble about making new elements and stuff and fancy made up metals and all crazy technologies and whatnot. But for the most part, Iron Man, Captain America, even the Incredible Hulk, which it's an accident involving gamma radiation and all that. Everything about those characters was realistic and believable in the set parameters of the world that they were displaying to us. Now all of a sudden, however, we've got the universe is actually not really scientific at all as we understand it. It's made up by gems that have aspects of life, and you can snap your finger and magic people away and snap your finger and magic people back, and there's like multiverses that don't make any sense. There's certainly not like the Hugh Everett interpretation of quantum mechanics in the multiverse. Nothing like that. It's just like magic, and there's it doesn't matter what's going on with Thanos because there's Dormammu over here, and like, what did Dormammu get snapped away? Like,
well, no, because Dormammu's not in our realm.
Yeah, there's people who live who are made of planet. They're a planet. There's living planets. So it got even by the end of Phase 3, it was getting close to like telling us, hey, look, if you want us to keep going, you're gonna have to accept
we've got to go down the comic rabbit hole and get away from the.
And now bringing it back to Eternals. Like, I don't think the Eternals as a film would have worked 2 phases ago.
No, if that was the first introduction to space, like, if you take Thor out of the equation as our first introduction to aliens, the first introduction we get is Guardians of the Galaxy, which did it really well because it anchored it with a human protagonist. Yeah, we see talking raccoons every day. But it did it. It anchored it with a human protagonist on planets that were populated by people that were humanoid. So it kind of.
I want to address that real quick.
What, that you see talking raccoons?
But again, and this is where it comes down to storytelling. There is an explanation.
It's a science experiment.
Yeah, that's all you need to know.
Yeah,
and you're like, I'm okay with it.
But as we then went from Guardians, and now we brought in the magical realm. The one thing I didn't like about the introduction of Doctor Strange was Thor's I think it's the first one. He tells Jane Foster that science, that the universe has done all this, and you call it science. People used to call it magic. So does that mean that Doctor Strange is not actually a sorcerer and uses magic? He's just a very good scientist.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
So what's Wanda then? Is Wanda conjuring science in her hands?
Yeah. But it's actually, realistically, it's the overarching theme of the entire MCU.
That science is magic.
Yeah, that's sufficiently advanced enough, technologically advanced civilization will be indistinguishable from magic.
Yeah.
It's a pretty centralized theme. Thanos is a magical being to us, really.
Yeah, but he's using science, as in the Infinity Gauntlet is a scientific apparatus designed to harness the power of the Infinity Stones.
But there's also the field of metaphysics, which is incorporated into this. Metaphysics is just bullshit. So, like, because I mean, he thinks to snap everybody out of existence, and there's somehow that that gauntlet that makes that possible. I'm like, well, but how? Like, what's the operating system? How,
does it work off Windows 98?
Yeah, like, so the existence of metaphysics in Marvel is where I don't particularly care. That's why as soon as I saw, don't do drugs, people, but like, I have experienced things in my life, and I will tell you now that the entirety of Doctor Strange is just an acid trip.
So it never really happens.
No, I'm just saying all of the imagery and all of the ideas in that come from someone who obviously the guy who wrote the comic books, Jack Kirby, Stan Lee. Those guys must have dabbled in things.
That was their Sergeant Pepper's
chilling in
Lucy in the Sky with
chilling
Diamonds.
in a field doing shrooms, smoking joints, and like, what if there was a cape that had a mind of its own? Like,
wouldn't that be strange? Jack, that's a great name. We should call him that. And maybe he's a doctor as well.
It's all interesting ideas, but it's like, again, we're coming to a point now where making this new phase feel grounded in reality doesn't work. However, there's a positive. It might work because they have now established this universe.
Well,
so this universe, as we know it, the first 27, is it 27 films?
22.
First 22 films, 23 films, whatever. The first 3 phases, that is now the MCU as we know it. It's easier now to start elaborating and making that a little bit more weird and crazy because you've already got that as the foundation.
Well, we're definitely going that way with Phase 4 because we've got the Eternals coming out this year, and these are alien beings. And I think we were reading the description of Richard Madden's character. He basically can fly, have superhuman strength. He's basically Superman.
Like, how does flying work for a superhero?
So, to me, Superman has the ability to change his mass, and that's how he can fly.
But how does that give him a vector?
Yeah, that just make him kind of like reduce gravity and fly.
He'd just fly off into space. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
how does he give himself vectors?
How does he? What propulsion does he use? Yeah.
It'd be more realistic to assume that Superman has the ability to actually remove himself from the well of Earth.
Like, at least with Captain Marvel, we know that she's...
Actually, no, it's speed.
What speed?
It's his speed that makes him fly. Because he can go faster than a speeding bullet. He can go fast enough to what's it called?
So why doesn't Barry Allen fly? Who's faster than the Superman?
Realistically, he should be able to. Although maybe because of the Speed Force, it's connected to.
Well,
the
no, because see, so there you go. So there's your example. Why can Barry Allen run so fast? Because he's connected to the Speed Force. That's his energy. Superman has I don't think he's ever been given any mechanics of how his flying works. Captain Marvel flies.
Well, no, because he didn't used to fly, didn't Superman?
Oh yeah, jumps everywhere.
He wasn't able to fly. It was only that he could fly, I think, in Silver Age.
Well, yeah, because that's where it comes to. You could bound a building in a single bound.
Yeah, so my belief is because he can move so fast, he's able to essentially he's able to get himself out of he can create escape. He can make himself go to escape velocity, which allows him to break free of the gravitational pull of the Earth and fly. So when he's flying, he's not flying like a bird or a plane flies. He's flying in the same sense that any object in the universe.
There you go. That's how he flies. He generates gravitational fields that push off other gravitational
how does
fields.
Richard Madden in the Eternals fly? It's going to be magic.
Yeah. And which is strange because it's explained Captain Marvel flies because she uses the space, the Tesseract, the Space Stone power.
Which is still magic. But
that's a power source.
As we were discussing, though, the idea, though, now is that the overarching theme of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that a sufficiently advanced scientific observation is indistinguishable from magic. Yeah.
But to them, it's science.
Yeah. I hope they do it. I hope they do it like more like interestingly, though. Because they've already been there with Thor, and with Thor it was a hand wave. It's like, this is what it is, just go with it. In the Eternals, they have a chance now to really elaborate on that.
Thor only flew because of his hammer. What? You rode your hammer?
Yeah, but... Okay.
Your hammer rode you on your back?
Sounds like you had an intimate and personal relationship with this hammer.
Yeah. No, I would spin it and it would pull me off. Oh, God, you'd pull off your hammer?
What my point being is that everything he explains is just like... He just writes it down and says to this astrophysicist, it's magic.
You call it science.
You call it science, blah. Eternals now has an opportunity to really delve into that concept, though.
Okay, so I'll ask you this. Do you think we're going to get that?
I don't know, because this is not the era of the trailer. This is a modern-day trailer, which was just like...
Doesn't give you any...
You guys know who the Eternals are, so what you're going to do is you're going to record yourselves watching this and freak out and fanboy over it. Got it? Okay. You people don't know what the Eternals are, so you're just going to watch this and think, that looks alright. Might go watch that. That's all this trailer is.
Yeah. It's... It basically, all I got from this trailer was they're a group of powerful beings that have been kind of guiding humans.
Matthew, do you know what I got from this trailer? And it wasn't even like they didn't even beat around the bush. It was so on the nose that I know we know exactly why this exists. He says it at the end. Who's going to become the leader of the Avengers? This movie is like, we need more heroes. We just killed off a bunch of our heroes, so we need more heroes now.
So again, at the start of this, we said we don't know anything about the Eternals. So if you know whether the Eternals were actually ever part of the Avengers in the comics, leave a comment. Leave a comment below. But
isn't it basically everyone at some point was an Avenger?
No,
even Magneto.
To me, the Avengers going forward is going to be led by.
I'm pretty sure Galactus was an Avenger at one point.
Who? Well, let's.
I don't know. I'm just.
We were talking about the. We like going down rabbit holes and divergence. I
hate that movie.
Tell me who you think will be the leader of the Avengers coming up then for the next Avengers movie.
I don't know. I can tell you who I want.
Who do you want? He said you could tell me.
I don't even think I could tell you what I want, to be honest. It's Spider-Man.
Spidey's the one I want to, but
he's also only like 16, 17 years old. So.
It depends where we leave it after Spider-Man No Way Home. Because that might be the movie that matures him into being the leader of the Avengers. Because who else have you got? You've got Captain America. Do you see him leading the Avengers? You've got Winter Soldier.
I don't think that Sam Wilson's Captain America ever does lead the Avengers, no. That one I know because we've just come fresh from that show, so I've obviously been doing my reading.
Yeah.
I don't think Sam Wilson's ever a leader of the Avengers.
Would you think he'd be a good leader of the Avengers?
It's hard to tell because again I don't know much about the comic book character and Anthony Mackie's. Sam Wilson I don't particularly care for. He's not charismatic at all.
See, the reason why I see the fact that Thor listens to Captain America is because Captain America can hold his own against Thor. So Thor respects him. I don't see that kind of respect coming from...
I mean, realistically, Clint should be the next leader of the Avengers. Although he wants to go and live with his family.
Bruce should be the leader. As he's put the bulk and the brains and the brawn together. He should be the leader of the Avengers.
He should be like a Professor X style leader. Leads from the back,
or a beast.
But my point is he leads from the back. He's not like a, for the lack of a better word, he's not a vanguard.
Until they need someone really strong, and then he comes charging.
Yeah, but he's not a vanguard. Well, and he's not quite himself anymore, right? You know, he's like.
Right, it'd be interesting to see.
He's affected by what he did using the gauntlet. But no, my point being is he would be like sits behind a desk and leads that way.
Yeah,
because the leader of the X-Men is Cyclops on the battlefield. But the leader of the X-Men organization is Charles Xavier.
Yeah, now he's the manager.
This is just my observation, but
the
way I always saw that with the Avengers was that Nick is the behind the desk leader of the Avengers.
Yes,
Captain America is the field leader. He's the ground troop leader. He's the captain.
Well, yeah, because I saw Fury as the leader of S.H.I.E.L.D., which were the leader of the Avengers, and then Captain America was his guy who led everybody else. But he did have a bit of a loose cannon with Iron Man, who would basically do his own thing. So, do we get Avengers that are more of a well-oiled unit this time? Because again, to me, I'm hoping Daredevil gets introduced to the MCU.
Charlie Cox's Daredevil.
I would, out of all those Netflix shows, I couldn't give three tosses about the other ones.
I liked the Netflix shows.
I like the Netflix shows.
I even liked Iron Fist.
But
not gonna lie.
But Charlie Cox's Daredevil was the one I liked the most.
And Iron Fist was the one I liked the least.
Yeah, the only other one I would like to see in it would be the Punisher, because I thought, what's it, Jay? Got his name, Jay Birchall, is it? His performance of the Punisher was badass. It was
Frank Castle.
Yeah, I could see Frank Castle basically being in the Avengers. He could replace Clint.
I also really like Luke Cage, and it's a shame that we didn't get to see that one because we were going to go into a very sort of like grey area, ambiguous sort of character with him, where he lives long enough to see himself become the villain.
I like Luke Cage until they killed
Cottonmouth.
And then I
No,
thought
but I'm talking season 2 here.
I never watched season 2.
Season 2 is really good. You should go check it out.
Watch it.
This is what's so sad about the cancellation of the Netflix series. It's only cancelled not because of the quality of those shows. That was a narrative that was pushed on people.
Marvel.
Go
basically.
watch season 1 of Iron Fist. It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's really not that bad.
No, Iron Fist was terrible in The Defenders.
I thought The Defenders was pretty good too. To be honest, realistically, that show was like Kevin. I can't remember his
Feige?
name. I'm confusing him with the guy who Paul Feig, the guy who wrote Ghostbusters 2016. The problem with Kevin Feige is he came in probably was like, yeah, no, this isn't mine, so I don't want it. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. It's the worst thing ever. Make sure all the news outlets know and tell everybody this is the worst thing ever. We've got to tell everyone what to believe. This is not real Marvel. Because Daniel has that argument with me all the time about it's not real Marvel. I'm like, yeah, it is. They say the green guy. They talk about Chitauri weapons all the time. They always talk about the attack on New York. Yeah. You even see the Avengers Tower in all of the press material.
It's the same as Marvels of S.H.I.E.L.D., though. That
it was part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe until the power of television was realized by Kevin Feige, and he was like, no. You know that meme? Speaking of memes of Bugs Bunny? No. That's what it is. That's Kevin Feige going up to the Netflix series and saying, you don't get to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe anymore. Bye. And now he's making his own fucking TV shows.
Yeah. It's disappointing because you've got a great portrayal of one of Marvel's most fun characters. So, and
Jessica Jones was fine. Although the first season was the best because
season 1 was way better because the bad guy was awesome.
The Purple
David
Man was
Tennant
brilliant.
was fucking fantastic.
Whereas season 2 of Jessica Jones is a little bit. I think season 2 of Jessica Jones is the worst of them all, to be honest.
See, the thing for me is what it's done as well is you should embrace having good depictions of your characters. And Charlie Cox as Daredevil is a phenomenal portrayal. So rather than squash that should have been embraced and nurtured into the cinematic universe.
Yeah, because season 3 of Daredevil's absolutely fantastic.
All 3 seasons of Daredevil are brilliant.
Season 2 is the weakest.
No, season 2 is the best with the Punisher.
No, I think season 2 is the weakest.
No, season 2 ends bad. Once the Punisher arc is done, then it goes weak.
Hold on. It's the weakest. I'm not saying it's bad.
All right.
Season 1 is better than season 2.
Yes.
It has the awesome payoff. It has the awesome origin story. Just because to me that moment that he uses his what do you call those walking
Nunchucks?
Sticks? That blind people use.
A walking stick?
No, it's not. It's got a special name.
I don't know. There's another character.
Oh, hold on.
Wilson Fisk, played by Vincent D'Onofrio, is phenomenal.
A cane.
Such a great portrayal of the Kingpin.
Yeah, the first time he uses his blind man's cane and he swings off of a building like Spider-Man and whatnot, I'm just like, yes, I'm here for this. Keep bringing this. And then they kind of got rid of that in season 2, though.
Well, there we go. That leads us on to a storyline that me and you want to see. We want to see the Spider-Man versus Daredevil storyline on the screen. Whoever you put in that role as Daredevil next will be compared to Charlie Cox. And I don't think they'll...
What? No, Ben Affleck.
Not Ben Affleck, no.
He's not the bad guy.
So anyway, how do you expect the... yeah. How do you expect the Eternals to slot into the MCU? Do you think they'll be a threat to the Avengers? Do you think... Because now they're slotting in right after the world now knows of even more powerful aliens than the Chitauri.
Well, no. Thanos. Okay, so it's implied that they've been here for thousands of years.
Yeah, guiding us, but not interfering.
So, and they have the ability to make water. So they obviously helped people. They helped civilization though, Mesopotamia and all that shit.
Well, yeah, because I think we see in the trailer the Hanging Gardens of Babylon.
It's likely that, yeah. But either way, it's ancient antiquity. It's before antiquity. It's it's the first civilizations of humanity. So it's implied that the Eternals are the ones responsible for teaching us how to farm. And how to
education,
how to stonemason, all that sort of stuff, taking us from being Paleolithic to being civilization,
modern man, yeah.
And which begs the question: well, what were they doing, as you said, during the events of the Infinity War? Maybe they just fell asleep for a bit. I don't know.
Well, maybe they
didn't care.
Well, no, maybe they'll bring in some kind of law like they had in Stargate SG-1. Because I get from the Eternals feeling of the powers and how long they've been around. They're like the Ancients. But the Ancients, when they ascended, had a very strict non-interference policy. So they may
except they're helping. Except the thing we just said.
No. So the ancients helped until they ascended. When they became ascended beings, that's when they brought in the non-interference policy. So I'm saying, I'm wondering if
then they're not ascended beings now.
No, but what I'm saying is, I wonder if the Eternals got to a point in helping us and guiding us when they got to the point and they said, right, that's it, we can't interfere anymore.
It's very convoluted,
and that's why they went off into space and they chose because it sounds like that they've been gone for a long time. To me, I got from the trailer, they helped us out in the beginning, they were giving us a guiding hand, and then something happened that caused them to leave.
They went on holiday.
Disneyland Express think the Watcher in the sense that watch but don't interfere in major events. Yeah, they're
Yeah, but again, they're allowed to interfere as long as they deem it as good and benevolent.
Yeah, he says
they're allowed to change the course of civilization, but they're not allowed to stop Thanos from blinking everybody half of people out of existence.
But that's
a little convoluted to me.
I'm saying maybe something happened, and they said, right, listen, guys, we've interfered too much, and that's when they gone off into space, and they went off on a 5-year mission that lasted.
I reckon they just went on holiday. They took the beach
Club
chairs
Med
with
up on
they took the windbreaks with them, found some fancy little beach. No, they didn't even do that. They just went to Nuki.
Yeah. But I think they left Earth, left humans, they went away, and now something's happened, obviously, the Infinity Saga, that said, no, we have to come back. And do they come back as benevolent? Because we have no idea who the bad guy is.
You know what would make it more interesting? What? If that's, yes, you're correct, right? But while they were gone, half of them disappeared.
So half the Eternals got snapped.
Yeah, and they're like, the reason they came back was to figure out what the hell's going on, to see if they could come back and do their part. When they come back, that's when they learn about the Avengers. And then they get snapped back into existence, and they're like, oh, okay, well, now we're back here. We got to learn about we've learned about the Earth's greatest heroes. There are people here now on Earth who can affect and change the delicate balance we helped develop.
Yep.
And so we now must be responsible for this, and we must police these new people. That's why I was thinking, I was getting a kind of a vibe that the Eternals are not bad guys, but they're adversaries. They're not.
Well, that's what I was saying. Do you think that with them showing back up so close after what happened with the Infinity Saga, are the human race ready for another set of all benevolent, all powerful aliens?
Well, the joke
or do you think that they will?
The joke at the end.
Yeah.
If we were to forget for a second that it's just a stupid shit joke and not really funny at all, and actually try to apply some logic to it,
yeah,
I would say that that's probably a debate going on. They're like saying, it's like, well, you know, we've done everything we can to keep them in balance and whatnot and keep them in check. So who's going to be? And he's like, so we start talking about who's going to be the new leader of the Avengers, and he's like, well, it could be me. And that might actually lead to a serious conversation about the saying, well, maybe that's the best. That's how we police these Avengers. We have to make ourselves known and insert one of our people into their ranks.
And how do you think the humans of Earth will respond to that? It's like, I think this could be set up that the Eternals come back thinking they're being benevolent, but are viewed as aggressors, and they're actually the bad guys of their own movie.
Well, and there's also, that's actually kind of laid down, the groundwork for that is laid down during Falcon and Winter Soldier, about how there's no trust for aliens.
Yeah.
How we have zero trust for the goings on of people outside of Earth, and we need to keep track of that. It's very similar to the X-Men storyline, isn't it? The
don't trust anti-mutant.
What's it called? The mutant tracking system that the Senator Kelly wants to put into place. I don't know. I don't know anything about the Eternals, and that's the only thing that I'm happy about when it comes to this.
Well, we've got
this new Marvel stuff.
We've got till November to wait, and we'll probably get some more trailers and some more information. A Disneyland Experience actually enjoyed the joke at the end, so suck it. I actually thought it was funny as well. Let's talk about other stuff that's coming up on the Phase 4 docket. We've got, at some point, Black Widow. We know it's filmed. What I don't understand...
Of course we know it's filmed.
What I don't understand is, why are they holding on so much for it to come out in cinemas? This should have been dropped on Disney+. Plus. You got the perfect platform. It should have been dropped in between the lull between probably The Mandalorian and WandaVision.
I will say I'm not qualified to comment on the inner workings of networks.
Maybe
and
Disneyland
TV
Experience could tell us.
Yeah. He has the inside sources. So come on,
Disneyland. Yeah.
Come on, give us the goods, buddy. I don't know.
Are there any of the?
I don't think any movie ever again should ever be released in theaters, and I think theaters should be burned to the ground.
It's interesting.
I'm just kidding. I actually do enjoy going to the movie theaters, but I think they need to start realizing that, hey, look, some people will want to go watch it in the movie theater with people farting and belching and screaming and laughing and throwing popcorn everywhere, but some people will just want to watch on their 8K Ultra 75-inch TVs at home with their super awesome
But
soundbars.
honestly, that's what I love about Cineplex.
Where they can order, skip the dishes.
Yeah. But that's what
you go to the movie theater, you have to have the crappy hot dogs or the crappy nachos that hurt the inside of your mouth.
Hang on.
Or you can order McDonald's, or you can order pizza, or you can
That's
get
what.
anything.
That's what I like though now about the new VIP cinemas. That's how.
Still really expensive.
Oh, it's
crap
fucking
food, though.
ridiculously expensive. But that's how I like big lazy boys. You've got massive gaps between other chairs, so you haven't got other people chatting in your ear. You order food. You order for the extra cost.
No, that's a good point.
Oh, it says it's coming out on Disney Plus on July 9th for extra cost.
Well,
so
there you go.
Disneyland Experience. You heard it here first. Our inside source. Thank you, Disneyland Experience.
Do you know? There's only one Disneyland Experience understands what this will hit him where it hurts a little bit. The only downside to not going to the movie theater is that we can't have our little contest of who guesses the right amount of trailers at the beginning.
Well, there you go.
I'll forever miss those games.
I'm hoping they come back, but I'm hoping they come back evolved and, like you say, the big crammed in seat, like stadium style, that's gone, and it's more of a personal aspect. To me as well, that also helps with running costs. Rather than having a big cinema with like 8 of you in there, but it's a 300-seater cinema, you go to you go back in time, like the Vale. You go back to small cineplexes where it's maybe a 100-seater stadium and screen, and it's all got nice lazy boy chairs. You can order food, you can order drink, and it's an enjoyable way of watching the movie. Because what else have we got coming out? We've got the I hate saying this, 4-4, Love and Thunder.
Thor 4.
Thor.
Say it with a Canadian accent.
Thor.
Thor 4.
4-4?
Thor 4.
4-4.
No, TH.
Thor.
4. 4.
Yeah, he says it's always 4 trailers, and you're wrong.
It is always 4 trailers. That's why. But we're buddies.
Yeah.
We both know, and it's like we know one of us is going to be. It's basically whoever guesses 4 first wins.
Yeah.
4.
You've 4, not 2. You've got Multiverse of Madness, which we know is a Doctor Strange movie, and we believe it's got Wanda in it. So that's one after WandaVision. That's one that instantly came up in I want to see, because if Wanda is in it, I want to see at what stage she's at, because I loved WandaVision.
The only way I accept the storyline of Wanda Maximoff moving forward is that she is an antagonist.
She's a bad guy.
I don't want her to be the like horrible, like no reason for this change at all in character, terrible diabolical villain or anything. But like, this is my point. Like, what an opportunity to actually have a real
complex villain.
Complex, sympathetic villain at the forefront of this new set of stories.
Here's one Disneyland Experience just put up there. Another one like the Eternals that I know nothing about. I don't think you do. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. The only thing I know from that is the Mandarin is the leader of the Ten Rings.
The only thing I know about Shang-Chi is that it is the pronounced Shang-Chi. Actually, I think though is the correct.
Actually, I think it's S-H-E-N-G.
Just either way, no. But the A sound makes a shung sound. Shang-Chi. I don't know. I don't speak Mandarin, but or Cantonese or whatever. But my belief is that it's actually somehow related to the incident at the Mass Effect Relay 314 in the Shang-Chi system.
Yeah. We got another Ant-Man movie coming. Now, the first 2 Ant-Man, they were passable movies. They were not blockbuster hits, but they were funny enough. Paul Rudd's awesome as Ant-Man. I have no idea. It's called Quantumania. I have no idea where they're going with that. Are they going to...
To me, there's only one objectively bad Marvel movie.
Dark World?
Yeah. I've even put Captain Marvel above Dark World in that it still has the entertainment factor of the fun romp going on between the characters of Nick Fury, and
I put Captain
Carol
Marvel
Danvers.
and Dark World together.
So, to me, Captain Marvel rests on one little problem that happens in that movie. I found out what it was the other night watching it.
What was it?
It's when she has her little breakdown outside. What's Monica's mum called? Maria, is it?
Maria Rambo.
The Rambo's farmhouse. She has a little breakdown moment where she realizes the truth and understands everything. And I'm like, it doesn't. It's not. She doesn't. You like to use this term. She doesn't earn it. She doesn't react realistically at all. You'd think that she'd be absolutely devastated to find this news out. You think it would hit her, but instead she just goes out and kind of like screams at the sky and it's like, "Oh, I'm a badass," and "Oh, they betrayed me," and that's where that movie falls apart. Yeah. If you would have had her become compromised emotionally there, and actually really, now you see her without the armor, you see her like really broken down over what
exposed.
Yeah,
and you actually care for the character.
The character of Captain Marvel in that movie isn't what's it called? She's not human enough.
No, maybe it's because she spent her entire life with aliens. But Disneyland Experience brings out a good point there that nobody knew the Guardians of the Galaxy, and that brought us some of the greatest characters in the MCU. Don't get us wrong, we're both looking forward to Shang-Chi and the Eternals. We just know nothing about them. Whereas we know Doctor Strange, we know Thor. I'm actually really because
Let me ask you a question. Do you think Peter Quill is actually a good leader?
No, he's fucking terrible.
But why is he still the leader, though?
He's not the leader.
He is.
Gamora's the leader. She's so obviously...
No, he's not.
She so obviously turns...
Peter Quill...
Actually, no. Rocket's the leader. Rocket's the one with...
They still follow him.
The best...
They give him shit, and they fucking...
But that's where one thing that happens in Endgame is quite pertinent to the point when War Machine and Nebula sees him, and War Machine looks back at him
and goes... So he's an idiot?
So he's an idiot. And he is! Peter Quill is a complete moron.
So what is it about him that makes
He's charismatic.
It's his heroics and his charisma.
That's what does it. He's a very flawed leader. But
they still follow him.
Yeah. Yeah, but all five of those characters are flawed.
Mm-hmm. The misfits.
They are the misfit ragtag.
They're the crew of the Rocinante.
Well, no, because Holden's actually... All the crew members of the Rocinante are really, really good at something.
No, the only reason they really follow Holden is because they respect that he's the do-gooder who always tries to do the right thing. Not because of his actual leadership qualities. We even get the very first episode of The Expanse is we're shown that he doesn't think about his crew first. He's not a ship commander really. He's very self-focused, not self-centered, self-focused.
Yeah, but what I'm saying there is the four of them are all good at something. Like Peter Quill's not good really at anything. Neither's Drax.
Except they follow him.
Yeah,
for some reason. Maybe they shouldn't. That's one of everyone shares the same flaw.
That's why
they all for some reason follow Peter Quill in the battle.
When we have the Asgardians of the Galaxy and Thor's leading, it makes sense. Of course. But like Rocket's a science genius. Drax is the muscle. Nebula's an assassin. Groot's muscle. Peter is...
No, he's not a science genius, isn't Rocket Raccoon. He's a what's it called? He's a tinkerer.
Yeah, but he comes up with such good shit, though.
Yeah, he's a tinkerer. Yeah. It's like you must know tinkerers. You like your cars. You know someone who's they've never had a mechanic course in their life. They didn't even graduate high school. Yet for some reason they know how to open up an engine and rebuild it.
Yeah, I do know people like that.
That's what Rocket is. He's a tinkerer.
Yeah. One of the franchises that I'm looking forward to because I loved the first incarnation of this, not necessarily the third movie, is Blade. I'm going to be interested to see.
Some motherfuckers always try to skate uphill.
Yeah, it's such a great movie. The visual effects haven't held up.
I love that line, and I know the nostalgia critic picks on that line, but like I get it. Some motherfuckers always trying to ice skate uphill. He's trying to say like some people just try stupid shit and keep doing it over and over again.
I think it's the fact that he uses ice skating.
It's just a weird
because you wouldn't try and. Well, I guess
Well, yeah. If you're an idiot,
you try to ice skate uphill.
Constantly tries the same thing over and over again and fails. You'd be the kind of person who would try to ice skate uphill.
This is why they follow Quill. Disneyland Experiences hit it on the head. He's the gel that keeps them all together. Because as we said, they're all misfits that realistically would go in their own directions, but Quill keeps them together.
Well, and that's why I say the harking on him and ripping on him and calling him an idiot is not so much this is why I don't like that War Machine says that, and that joke to me lands a little flat. To me, that's more of a reflection on them than it is on Quill.
Yeah.
Well, he's an idiot, but he's the idiot you fuckers follow into battle all the time. So who's the bigger idiot? Who? Obi-Wan Kenobi. Who's the bigger fool?
Yeah.
The fool or the fool that follows them?
Disneyland thinks Triple H was awesome and fantastic in Blade 3. The only good thing from Blade 3 was Ryan Reynolds. I'm sorry. Everything else was just...
It's that Blade Trinity.
Yeah.
I never saw it.
It's not good.
I actually only ever saw the first one.
Actually,
the first one's brilliant.
There's some one-liners from...
Some awful special effects.
No.
But it was 1999, so whatever.
The third one has some great one-liners from Wesley Snipes, because I think at one point when he's fighting Dracula, he says, "Time to die, motherfucker." And Dracula repeats it back. He goes, "I like that." And it's a good... But the effects in Blade from any of the... Kind of like when you kill the vampires is not the greatest. But I'm looking forward to seeing how they do Blade in the MCU, because it's got to be R-rated. You can't make a vampire...
Well, we know they're going to do R-rated because Deadpool's going to be R-rated, so...
No, Deadpool and Blade together, that would be a buddy cop movie I want to see.
I'm telling you that's Wade Wilson under an alias in Blade Trinity.
He's actually more like Deadpool than Deadpool from X-Men.
Yeah,
Wolverine.
You'll find out because he'll explain it to us. He'll just like he'll have a moment where he's in a Hugh Hefner like cardigan, and he'll sit down
reminisce
in front of a fire, and he'll reminisce about the time that he wandered around under his assassin alias, working with the famous Blade and whatnot. Yeah. That's the beautiful thing about Deadpool. He is basically God.
So, so the first Blade movie was a good, like you say, late 90s movie. Stylistically, I want them to go down the way though Blade 2, because I liked what I was going to say Benicio del Toro, Guillermo del Toro does in Blade 2. Stylistically, it is a beautiful movie. Disneyland Experience would personally like to know our dream casting for Fantastic Four. Well, there we go. We got a request. Let's move on to that then.
No.
You want to save that one?
That's going to be coming out in an episode of Casting Call. You got to stay tuned for that.
There's only 5 people.
So?
Yeah,
we only did 5 people for each part of the X-Men casting call.
We'll do a quick casting call on Fantastic Four.
I couldn't tell you right now. Let me hear what you will hear.
We'll save it for casting call because we'll throw that in a video. But yeah, we'll do that for you, Disneyland Express. We'll get a casting call done in the next 2 weeks.
Disneyland Express
Experience. We'll get that up there. Yeah, so I want to see how Blade's done. What else is coming out? We got a lot of TV shows coming, like the What If.
I mean, and this is a good. Keep in mind, this is a good segue. Continue your thought, but this is leading us into the
next topic. TV show. Hawkeye is going to be a TV show. We've got What If, but the next one coming down the tube is Loki. Now, obviously, Loki as a character in the MCU, starting as a villain, got much love and became more of an anti-hero, to the point where I've watched reaction videos to Infinity War and spoilers. He dies and people are bawling their eyes out. But we know the things we know from the trailers is this is the Loki from Endgame that picked up the Tesseract and vanished.
So for all intents and purposes, it's the villain Loki.
Yeah, it's the Loki that just destroyed New York.
And hasn't gone through all of that learning experience with Thor. Hasn't reconciled with his brother.
He's the one that gets puny guarded up in... He's literally just been ragdolled by the Hulk.
Not to mention as well that he has the Tesseract. However, I'm pretty certain that if I was writing this show, one of the first things that would happen when the time people show up to arrest him, whatever they're called. What are they called? TVA. When they show up, they'll be like, okay.
Time something agency.
Owen Wilson will be like, wow, the Tesseract. You gotta... Okay, someone has to go deal with this. Go put this back in its correct place, please. Yep. And then that'll be at the end of it. We'll never see the Tesseract ever again.
We also know that by doing what he did in the movie of Endgame, what the Ancient One said to Bruce Banner has happened. Time has splintered off into these... fingers.
Ancient One? You mean Sorcerer Supreme?
Sorcerer Supreme, yeah. Who's the Ancient One?
I don't know.
Maybe that's a different franchise. Yeah, so she tells Bruce that if you don't put the stones exactly back where they are, you create all these fucked up timelines. Which is basically what I see that we're going to get from Loki is the Time Bureau is asking Loki, because they call him the Variant. Now, I don't know why they call him the Variant. 2012 version of Loki, the bad guy Loki. Like, because aren't all Lokis in the multiverse, aren't they all variants? Just by having a multiverse, they wouldn't be an original. You're all variants.
No, so the variant probably comes from the idea that he
stepped out of his own timeline.
So let's go back to Endgame. So they lose Loki, they lose the Tesseract, they realize, okay, we got to go back in time forever to get the Tesseract now. So not only do we have the Tesseract taken from the 50s or 60s or whatever, that's where Cap will then go return it. There's still now a timeline, a doomed timeline, and actually, funnily enough, speaking of the Sorcerer Supreme, that specific timeline that doesn't get its Tesseract back.
Maybe that's the arc of the show.
But that's why I pointed out that Owen Wilson and his buddies will probably be like, here, go put this back where it belongs, because then you hand wave it away.
Well, no, what might happen, though, is in his transition before the time agency get him, he's lost it. So the show is he's having to go to all these times to fix the timeline to try and find the Tesseract to take it back to the point where he jumps out of time.
So that's what makes him the variant. Using the Sorcerer Supreme's explanation from Endgame, he is the variant now, in the same way that all those stones in Endgame are variants. So yeah.
So maybe that's over the show then how he grows as a character, and he grows toward what we had before Thanos snapped his neck.
I hate to be like, that meme.
Why not do something different?
So more memes, the whole meme like where it's like a cartoon person who's like bitching about something, and the person like closes his lips and says shh, shh, shh. Just let people enjoy things. That's what I feel like, that dickhead right now. But I'm like, they killed him.
Yeah,
they killed him, and it was like super like heart-wrenching and really good, and quite possibly would have rejuvenated that film and redeemed that film. But then they revealed, no, it's Loki the trickster. He's alive. He's now pretending to be his dad. And then they killed him. And it's like, oh, he got his neck snapped by Thanos. It's like he's dead this time. He's as dead as dust. He's dead.
It's worse than that.
And then
he's dead, Jim.
Yeah. But no, he's not.
Well, no. If
this needs to be a different character.
Yeah,
I don't want this Loki to become the Loki at the end of the beginning of Infinity War. Loki is dead. He's gone. This Loki is the Loki variant.
Yeah, and he has to be his own character. And I hope they do that with Nebula as well. I hope they do that with Nebula.
No, Nebula is the Nebula. You hope they do it with Gamora.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah, Gamora. Because obviously the next film is going to be Quill trying to find her. Now, I have no problem with her and him falling back in love, but I hope she's a different character.
Except that Gamora, that timeline is literally like that same day is when she meets Quill on what's the planet where
Nova?
Nova. Is that what it's called, Nova? I just thought that was the name of the police force, but yeah, that's the same day.
Yeah,
or at least the same week.
Yeah, no. So what I'm saying, so she had the thought in her mind to defect.
She was defecting and betraying,
but she hasn't had all the shenanigans of Guardians 1 to fall in love with Quill. So,
oh yeah, she never even experienced either of the movies.
No. So we have two characters in the MCU who are characters who have died who we know who are completely different. I'm with you. I'm hoping Loki, they develop him as a different character.
Do you think the Marvel Cinematic Universe is so godly and great because of its balance between so dumb and so good?
Oh, it's a fine line, and they walk it perfectly.
Because it is. It's like there's so much about the Marvel Cinematic Universe from an actual theatrical point of view, like analyzing it for its cinema merits. There's a lot about the Marvel Cinematic Universe that's garbage
and don't make any sense.
But it don't matter.
No,
because there's so much about it's so dumb, but there's so much that's so awesome. It's like smash it all together, and you've got like this little like soup of awesome dumbness. It's great.
The perfect example of that is Endgame. Endgame is the perfect example of super awesome stuff, super dumb stuff that you smash together and everybody just...
So, it's no secret that I'm one of the detractors of Endgame, and I walked out of Endgame thinking, like, I was too bogged down in all of that minutia, worrying about, like, what makes sense and what doesn't. That I actually had this epiphany the other day where I realized, I was like, you know what? Endgame is kind of just like a... It's not a good movie. It's just a great event. And, like, there's so much joyful, awesome shit that happens in that film that, yeah, sure, it don't make sense. Sure, the time travel logic's stupid and lazy. And because it's lazy. I really hope this, because that's where a lot of my problems with Endgame came from, was I was really hoping that after the events of Infinity War, after what happens, I'm like, oh, wow, the stakes are so high now. They really need to find a way out of this.
A time heist was lazy writing.
To turn out it's a time heist, to me, that was lazy writing. But it didn't matter because Paul Rudd called it a time heist, and then so immediately it's just like, yeah, okay.
Well,
and then all the wacky, ridiculous, great shit that happens in that movie just weighs down like the gnawing, like this is script writing.
There's lots of silly things like when Captain Marvel shows up, she's massively overpowered, and people said, "Oh, she could beat Thanos on her own," but she destroys his ship. She goes, "Hey, Peter Parker," gets a glove off him. Why at that point are they still trying to get it into his van? Why didn't she just take the gauntlet and instantly fly into space?
Yeah, but why was that helicopter in the finale of Falcon and Winter Soldier not operating like a real helicopter?
Yeah.
Like, this is the point. You can't. It's so difficult to pick apart Marvel movies because they've told us without actually saying it. They've told us through their movies. You ain't coming here for logic, mister.
Well, even Peter Parker says to Cap, that shield doesn't obey any laws of physics.
Yeah. And that's probably why Marvel works better than DC for this expanded universe thing. Because the DCEU is just too... It's trying too hard to make sense.
Well, look at the three great DC movies that we talked about earlier. The Dark Knight trilogy. That's grounded. It was Christopher Nolan's plan to have it grounded in real life. That film would have been terrible if you'd have then, even though they're in the same universe, if you'd have supplanted a scene with Superman in the Dark Knight trilogy. It would have just taken everything that you've just done to ground it in reality and made it shit. And that's like what you're saying. Superman realistically can't exist in the same universe as Batman. Yet in the comics they do.
And have you noticed as well, this is why people, and especially people like myself, use that exact same reasoning to defend Star Wars movies. Because I do. What do I always say? Hey, look, it's just...
Space wizards.
It's just a children's movie about space wizards, right? And that realistically should be the standard you hold Star Wars movies to. But so many people want Star Wars movies to be The Empire Strikes Back. They want it to be. They want to have their cake and eat it. They want it to be their childhood memory about space wizards and Luke Skywalker using his green lightsaber to cut down stormtroopers and shit. Which, even though that never actually happened in the original movies, and they want that, but they also want it to make sense. They want it to have like. They wanted to have substance.
See, to me, the only thing I want from a Star Wars movie is it to have a good story and a script, which the latter films really didn't, and that's my gripe with them. Not that I want them to be realistic, because, like you say, it's space wizards.
But the story isn't there even in the first three movies. Like,
no,
so the first movie is essentially just a retread of a hero's journey.
Yeah,
Joseph Campbell's a hero's journey, right? That's all it is. So it's instantly right out of the gate. It's a rip-off.
Yeah. Well,
the second one has a better story only in the fact that we're learning more about the characters. So it's not so much an actual plot. It's just character arcs. Characters going from one point to another, from going from one low to another,
and developing the characters as we do it.
Yeah. So that's where The Empire Strikes Back really succeeds. But that is the story. But it gets away with that being the middle chapter. The Return of the Jedi is just it's just like, here we've got to go save the hero who sacrificed himself because he was supposed to die, but he wants to come back and wants some more money. So the first hour and a half of that movie just spends up tying up a plot thread no one really needed to know about from the first movie. and the second movie, and then the second half of that film is just
recreating the first movie.
It's just let's go blow up the Death Star.
Yeah. So I was watching a video last night that somebody pointed out how people, like you say, need not to think too hard about Star Wars. The very first movie, which is held on a pedestal by Star Wars fans, starts off with the dad of 2 children attacking a cruiser where his daughter's on it and not realizing, and he's supposed to be a Force user. He's also on the same cruiser of his childhood robot that he built and a R2 unit that he spent his entire Jedi life working with. Hang on, guess what? So his 2 droids that he had throughout his entire youth then escape this ship and land on a planet where his son is.
Yeah, I knew that's where you were going with it. But do you want to know?
And then his son finds these droids and takes him to Darth Vader's best buddy.
Matthew,
fucked.
you can sum that all up in one ridiculous thing that Seth MacFarlane was smart enough to point out in Blue Harvest. Hold your fire. There's no life forms aboard.
Right,
Hold your fire. What, are we charging by the laser? Like, that in itself points out the absurdity of that opening scene.
Anyway, we've been going for an hour and 20. I think we had a good discussion tonight. So, channel notifications. We have Great Moments in Bad Movies Part 2 coming over the next few days. That's been put together and finished.
Coming?
Yeah, it's coming up.
Okay, coming up. Okay.
Yeah. We've had a request to do a Fantastic Four casting call, so we better get on that shit.
Because the only things we know how to cast are either Mass Effect, Star Wars,
video games, or
Marvel related.
Have you got?
Hey, do you know what would be a good casting call?
What?
I just had this great idea right now. Kelvin Universe TNG crew.
Ooh. Me like. So basically, it's just recasting TNG.
Well, in the same way that the Star Trek 2009 recast the original series.
So what Marvel movie characters who's considered the only actors we know? Henry Cavill's got to be in there somewhere.
Henry Cavill will be in there somewhere. We'll also have
the
Wes
four
Chatham, probably.
4 members of the roster.
Thomas Jane will probably be in there somewhere.
So we got that. You got anything coming down the line? Video-wise? For our viewers?
No, just go over to my Twitch channel and help me out over there because that is pretty much my life at the moment.
So, so if you enjoy the show, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Leave us a comment on anything we've discussed or you want us to discuss.
And if you're still here, motherfucker who keeps thumbsing us down,
let us know why. And until next week.
Hey, don't be nice to him.
And until next week. See you later.
Pistols at dawn.